some of the world's most dangerous terrorists. Who all are those? We're going to put that out one by one for you. From Osama bin Laden to the very groups that were responsible for 9/11 and 26/11. Pakistan has long been the sanctuary for terror. Pakistan's own leaders have publicly acknowledged the deadly alliance between Pakistani state and terrorists. It's the time the world woke up, took notice of what exactly has happened and stopped pretending that this is just a matter of coincidence. Let's break this down with some of the biggest faces, well, terrorists, and where are you going to find them? Of course, in Pakistan. First on your screens is Osama bin Laden, the mastermind behind the deadliest terror attack that took place on American soil. What was it? The 9/11. He is the poster boy of the 9/11 terror attack that took place. Bin Laden, the architect. Pakistan not only turned a blind eye but gave him a sanctuary. He wasn't hiding in the mountains. He was living in plain sight, protected by the Pakistani military, the ISI. And despite knowing this, the Pakistani government continued to play, well, guess what? The victim card. Next, let's talk about Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, Al-Qaeda terrorist and another 9/11 mastermind. Not only was he a Pakistani guest, but he was captured in Pakistan's city of Rawalpindi. Now, how does a man who happens to be one of the world's most wanted terrorists, end up right under the nose of the Pakistani military? Well, the answer is clear, viewers. It's because Pakistani state and government was complicit. They allowed him to walk freely. Next, I'm going to talk about Abu Zubaydah, Al-Qaeda's mastermind and, well, gatekeeper. He was one of the highest-ranking members of Al-Qaeda, a key figure behind 9/11 attacks. And he was not some random foot soldier. He was, in fact, one of the key operatives operating in the shadows. He found a comfortable home in Pakistan. He was captured in Faisalabad in 2002. These, viewers, are just some of the hundreds of terrorists that Pakistan has nurtured. Their defense minister is on record saying that. Osama bin Laden and several others are all there to spread, well, the ideology of hatred as well as the ISIS ideology, all linked back to Pakistan. The question isn't whether Pakistan supports terror. It's how deep do these ties go while Pakistan continues to claim that they are fighting terrorism. The reality is, viewers, that they are nurturing this. They are playing a double game. For years they've been doing so. The world conveniently looked the other way. But is it now time? Isn't it time to now call out what is happening in Pakistan, playing this dangerous game where they are sponsoring terrorists on one end and continuing to play the victim card? And that's the fault line we are exposing right here. And let's get deeper into this dangerous alliance and what's at stake for the world.
In the battle of words, Pakistan's narrative is hollow, lacking real substance and evidence, while India stands firm with undeniable facts and a consistent voice. Let's start with Pakistan's official defense. Their DGMO briefings claim Pakistan is fighting terrorism on its own soil, a mantra they've repeated ad nauseum. But where's the proof? The same Pakistan that hosts terror masterminds like Hafiz Saeed and Zakir Rahman Lakhvi on its soil is hardly a credible defender of peace. Instead of offering accountability, they offer denials with no substance to back them up. Now, contrast that with India's stance. The DGMO in India speaks with clarity and conviction. Their briefings are backed by intelligence and hard evidence, not just empty words. India doesn't just talk the talk, they walk the walk. Every time Pakistan sponsors a terror attack, India responds with precision, holding Pakistan's hand to the flame of accountability. Then there's Shehbaz Sharif, Pakistan's prime minister, who has repeatedly tried to mimic global leaders by making speeches and appearances on the international stage. But his words are like cheap imitations in makeshift tents, with weapons not even used in the conflict and banners of those actually claimed to be used, echoing hollow promises without action. Pakistan's narrative, from their DGMO's briefings to Shehbaz Sharif's stage performances, is falling apart. While India's leadership stands firm, armed with proof and a consistent stance, Pakistan continues to flounder, spinning tales with no proof to back them up.
So before going into this report, viewers, I want you to talk about what is it that you just saw. We earlier talked about the Pakistani terror factory, which in fact led to Operation Sindoor. India changed the paradigm, its response to terror. But what happened as India pounded Pakistani air bases? Well, all that came out from Pakistan's side was the propaganda and fake narrative. The stark contrast between India's mature response and Pakistan's propaganda is what this report explained to you in great detail. And I'm now going to get my colleague Shiv Arur to talk more about the India narrative and how India is looking to up the game even further. Shiv, you've been covering every aspect of this story. And as we speak today, in India, we are having domestic constituents fighting over facts on ground. How do we deal with that?
The good news, of course, is that India's game right now is predicated on 216 high-resolution images of what Operation Sindoor really created in Pakistan. They are undisputed. These are global images. These are not Indian images. And therefore, everything stems from undeniable proof of what India managed to destroy in Pakistan. That's layer number one. Layer number two is the fact that Pakistan, as you rightly pointed out, its only weapon after having failed to hit India with most of its munitions and drones and missiles, etc., has been launching barrage after barrage of misinformation, propaganda, fake news, which are easily busted. They've been busted even by their own newspapers. They've been busted by, friendly media in the West like Washington Post and New York Times. They've been busted even by some Chinese outlets. So it's that bad. That's how bad the misinformation is. Point number three, the third layer to talk about is Pakistan has hilariously come out with a dossier this time of proof of what they've actually managed to do. A historic milestone in my view, Gaurie, because this is actually the first time you're hearing about not India, but Pakistan, putting together a dossier of proof because they're running around, trying to prove what they actually did and what India supposedly did not do. Right on top of this, like the icing on the cake really, is India's External Affairs Minister, who's going to be heading out into the world. He's going to Western Europe initially to brief countries about what India has done. Vikram Misri, the Foreign Secretary, who's also been facing the nation and answering many of those questions in the run-up to Operation Sindoor and during it, is briefing the Parliament panel before those MPs head out to different parts of the world to share details of the Modi doctrine, as it were, and new rules of engagement with Pakistan. So this is a country that sees only misinformation and fake news as its weapon, given that its most advanced weaponry, all of it China supplied, has been completely exposed. The efficacy and efficiency of these weapons have been laid bare, and that's why Ishaq Dar, the Foreign Minister of Pakistan, has been summoned to China as well.
Indeed, we leave it there. Shiv, appreciate you joining us on Faultlines today as we decode Pakistan's terror factory, the propaganda machinery, all of which has completely failed. Well, viewers, when the bombs fell, the world watched. But behind the headlines, there is in fact a deeper story. A story of Pakistan's continued terror sanctuaries, a false narrative, and a global multilateral aid agency ecosystem that continues to fund the terror factories. Pakistan's narrative was built on shaky ground. It was exposed the moment the world questioned their evidence, their satellite images, all of which failed them miserably. And yet the media circus continued. Pakistan's PR machinery, in fact, also tried to push forth the same propaganda. False, ineffective, and the world refused to buy any of it. But now, in a desperate attempt to maintain more relevance on the global stage, they are mimicking India once again. India has formed teams that will now reach out to all global powers, explain what exactly happened, backed by facts, remember, which are on India's side, whether it is the satellite imagery or whether it's the other details which tell what exactly happened in Operation Sindoor and what is the best that Pakistan can come back with. Well, mimicry coming up with its own set of delegations. But what exactly will they say? The truth is not on their side. But what they do have are those terror factories that are still functioning, and it's up to the world to ensure that those factories need to end. Because terror, remember, is not just a plague that is impacting India, it is impacting the world. And that, in fact, is something that one of the questions that we are putting forth, besides, of course, asking that why exactly Pakistan had to ask for a ceasefire, when, according to its own fake machinery, it was on the winning side. Well, viewers, on that note, we're going to slip into a very short break. We come back on the other side and talk more about the second fault line, and that runs through Russia, Ukraine. Stay with us.
जब मेहमान नवाजी में कोई कसर बाकी ना हो, तब जान लो घर में आज दावत है. Dawat. Bring out your finest.
With 3, save £336 on the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. Plus, claim Galaxy Buds 3 Pro and try Gemini Advanced for 6 months at no cost. Search 3 or head in-store today. Life needs a big network.
It's pandemonium, it's pandalicious, it's fantastic. It's the world of Panda Bingo.
I like to make a cup of tea, get settled on the sofa and play Panda Bingo. It's like a little bit of me time. Well, me and the pandas.
Whether I'm out and about on my mobile or just at home on the laptop, I can play my favourite Panda Bingo games anytime, anywhere. I just love it.
Brilliant bingo rooms, great games, out of this world offers. Join today at pandabingo.com/bingo.
Your brain really matters.
What's wrong with the car?
It's okay, lads. I'm with the AA.
Ah,
Bombay mix.
Because the AA has more expert patrols across the country, you'll be back on the road in no time. No wonder more people choose the AA. Join today.
Viewers, the second fault line we are going to talk about and expose is the one that runs through Europe, Russia and Ukraine more specifically. Vladimir Putin is playing the long game, with Donald Trump back in the White House and peace talks in Istanbul almost coming to a dead end. Russia is betting on bypassing Zelenskyy completely. What does Putin want? Well, simply he wants to talk directly to the big boys. And who's in the big boys club? Most certainly not Zelenskyy. And as we dig deeper into the power plays, the posturing, and the real politic of a war that refuses to end, we decode exactly what those fault lines are all about. Remember, they say you cannot expect rain if you never see the clouds. 3 years into the war, a so-called peace summit in Istanbul, well, took place while Putin stays dry and far away from the storm. And Zelenskyy made an appearance, flanked by his European allies. But the question is, what happened to the Americans? They deserted him completely, didn't they? In fact, that's one of the questions that we are going to put forth, that the deals that Trump was signing, what happens to the deal that he was supposed to sign on the Russia-Ukraine front? The very man who suggested the talks decided not to attend. Instead, he sent a ghost delegation, who? Putin, led by a cultural relic, not a serious negotiator. The message was loud and clear from Putin that Russia is here to posture, most certainly not to settle. Ukrainians, in fact, they also had a delegation. They showed up. They were hopeful, perhaps. But it's hard to tango when the partner won't even step on the floor, isn't it? Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, Donald Trump is beginning to look more and more ineffective. And there are reasons why I say that. First, 3 times he's threatened sanctions if Russia doesn't agree to a ceasefire. 3 times Putin shrugged. Trump's latest move, well, staying 4 hours away in the Gulf, sealing business deals instead of actually the peace deal that he claimed that he could actually get in 24 hours. If this is what friendship with Putin looks like, if this is what friendship with Trump looks like, is Zelenskyy better off with enemies, is the question. Trump's floating a meeting with Putin, but unclear when. Even as the grinding war, viewers, takes 5,000 lives every week. On the ground, bombs keep falling while leaders dance around diplomacy. Civilians die in the dirt. The Istanbul summit was meant to stop the bloodshed. Instead, it became a backdrop for egos and empty seats. Putin's playing the long game. Trump's playing catch-up. And well, Zelenskyy, he's playing defense, isn't he? Politically, militarily, and emotionally as well. With the world watching, but not stepping in. If peace is a poker table, then right now it's clear Ukraine's not holding the cards, isn't it? And viewers, in the end, it's not just a diplomatic failure. It's a dangerous signal that Putin believes he can actually wait out Ukraine, brush off Trump, and bend the terms of peace to what he wants to. The Istanbul summit was never really meant to succeed, but just to show who's really pulling the strings. And the answer to that you'll find in this report.
Я очікую, хто прибуде від Росії.
Russia's leverage over Ukraine is growing, and the shift in global power dynamics is unmistakable. With Trump back in power, the Kremlin sees opportunity and Zelenskyy increasingly sidelined.
He wasn't going if I wasn't there, and I don't believe anything's going to happen, whether you like it or not, until he and I get together. But we're going to have it.
That remark came just days before the Istanbul peace talks. Trump's tone towards Zelenskyy has hardened, even as he insists he can broker peace. But what does Russia see? A divided West, a distracted Trump, and an isolated Ukraine.
Сначала Зеленский какие-то там делал заявления, что он требует, чтобы Путин прибыл лично. Ну, жалкий человек, но всем же понятно, кроме, наверное, его самого и тех, кто им кукловодит. Потом ему старшие товарищи объяснили, что не надо так.
Putin's strategy is simple: reduce Ukraine to a subplot and elevate the conflict to a US-Russia standoff. The only diplomatic winner so far, Turkey hosting the talks, playing the broker, and gaining influence while the major powers maneuver.
Diyalog kanallarının açık tutulması için buradaki tüm ortaklarımızın desteğine güveniyoruz.
With Donald Trump pushing for a bilateral summit and Putin refusing to meet anyone but him, Ukraine risks becoming a footnote in its own war. And if that happens, Russia will have already won without conceding a single inch, or at least that is what it looks like. And to talk more on that, I'm joined by, in fact, Ms. Dasha joining us live from Moscow to understand what's really at play. Ms. Dasha, there's an important phone call that will take place between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. But given how much of a non-starter the Istanbul Peace Summit was last week, it seems few people have high expectations.
Well, we do know that this phone conversation is expected to focus on the Ukrainian settlement, and the Russian side has been repeatedly saying that what they want to see at this stage is the implementation of the arrangements that have been reached in Istanbul, and that is the swap of 1,000 prisoners of war on each side, as well as the detailed vision of how the sides see the ceasefire being implemented, and that is expected to bring the sides to the next stage. And in this conversation between Trump and Putin, indeed, they are expected to talk about ceasefire primarily and the wider settlement of this conflict, as Moscow has been insisting they don't want to see the 30-day ceasefire to be introduced without the promise of the halt in military supplies to Ukraine, because Moscow believes it holds the upper hand on the battlefield, and any halt in the fighting would change that disposition of powers, giving Ukraine an advantage and the opportunity to have respite during those 30 days, as well as to regroup, remobilize, and accumulate more weapons. So from the Russian perspective, the expectation from this phone conversation is that the American side will understand what Moscow describes as the root causes of this conflict, and the Russian president has earlier been saying that Moscow respects the US national interest and expects the US to respect Russian national interests as well.
The fact that most European allies immediately are seeking a 30-day ceasefire, how do you see that having an important aspect in terms of Mr. Trump even threatening possible sanctions if Mr. Putin doesn't agree?
Given the past rhetoric we have been witnessing from the Kremlin, Moscow is defiant of those sanctions, suggesting that the Russian economy has weathered the storm of those sanctions. Although there are indicators like the increased key interest rates, which is at the record high, that are pointing to the fact that the Russian economy is experiencing the signs of not doing well, although it is quite good for the economy that is under so many sanctions. And the Kremlin is likely to say that, okay, you can introduce more sanctions, but what matters for Russia at this stage is to achieve the goals of what Moscow describes its special military operation in Ukraine by military means. And the Kremlin has also been insisting that it has the capacities at hand to achieve those goals militarily and to ensure that Russian national interests are very well secured. And Moscow wants the peace to last for the generations to come, not to put some sort of band-aid that could result if the Western countries pressure for their solution, ignoring the Russian side.
3 years into the war, nobody wants band-aids. People want long-term solution. Thank you so much, Ms. Dasha, for joining me live from Moscow. Well, viewers, let's take the blinkers off. Vladimir Putin didn't attend the peace talks in Istanbul because he didn't have to. This is not diplomacy, this is theater, and in this play, Putin is both the director and the lead. He wants the stage cleared. No Zelenskyy, no distractions, most certainly none of the other European allies, just him and Trump, face to face, trading the future of Ukraine like it's a bargaining chip in a poker game, or at least a larger, expansive US-Russia relationship, with Ukraine being only one of the aspects. As for Trump, well, some would say he's actually playing into it, tweeting about ceasefires, threatening sanctions, but never following through. He's bluffing at a table where Putin already holds the cards. Remember, holding the cards is very important for Donald Trump. The Istanbul talks failed because they were never meant to succeed. They were a smokescreen, a diplomatic dance around the real issue. Putin wants to talk to Washington, not Kiev. The phone call between Trump and Putin may set the stage for a possible peace formula. But don't forget, Putin is pulling the old Russian move. He is exploiting all the fault lines that exist in Europe. Everyone wants peace, but everyone wants to stand behind America, behind Trump. And Trump does not want to be the one standing in the first. And that's really what the big issue is. So Putin is pitting allies against each other, trying to stall the battlefield, whisper sweet nothings to the White House while bombing Ukraine. There are entrenched positions on both sides. Zelenskyy does not want to concede any territory to Russia, start talks only after a 30-day ceasefire. Putin wants the talks without any ceasefire. It means that he wants to keep the military edge, build on it, and speak from a position of strength. If the phone call leads to a plan, it will possibly be a breakthrough. But will it lead to a complete end to Europe's longest war since the Second World War? No one knows. And that really is one of the biggest fault lines in Europe. Well, viewers, with that, we come to an end of this edition of Fault Lines. Stay sharp, stay aware, because in this geopolitical chess game, the pawns are dying while the kings are only delaying. Thank you so much for watching the first edition of Fault Lines.
When I woke up, they said, "Alyssa, you've got leukemia." We found out that the chemo wasn't working. So at that point, it was like, I'm gonna die. My consultant was looking for these clinical trials, and she found this one at Great Ormond Street. I'm cancer-free now.
Curing Alyssa was a world first, but cancer is still the biggest killer of children in the UK. Will you help us do more? Search Gosh Care to give £3 a month and help build a new children's cancer centre at Great Ormond Street Hospital, a home for breakthrough research with world-class facilities to help beat cancer for more children. Together, with your kind support, we can help save lives and transform children's cancer care for decades to come. Text CARE to 70125 to give £3 a month and help build our new children's cancer centre. Together, we can beat cancer for more children.
Don't miss Sharp's half-price spring savings. Get Sharp's bespoke fitted furniture for every room, from living spaces to home offices and bedrooms. Many ranges are now half price, including our must-have Manhattan range. Our exclusive Space Plus system means we won't be beaten on space. Plus, you get our 15-year guarantee for total peace of mind. Our half-price spring savings end Bank Holiday Monday. Book your free home design visit today at sharps.co.uk.
For such gentle souls, working donkeys in the Middle East lead terribly hard lives. For such trusting animals, donkeys are too often abused and exploited. These sensitive, loyal animals often suffer the cruelest pain. This is the hard, painful life that donkeys in Egypt, the West Bank, Israel and Gaza have to endure. Too often, it's not only a hard life, it is also a short one. But there is something you can do to make their hard lives much easier. Please call Safe Haven for Donkeys on 0800 144 5802 or go online and give a life-saving gift of just £2 a month. Safe Haven for Donkeys is dedicated to transforming lives in the region. Your gift means our mobile vet clinics can provide emergency treatment for injured donkeys. We heal wounds and ensure donkeys aren't suffering. We also work with local communities, helping them to look after and cherish their donkeys. You'll help make sure there's always a place at our sanctuaries for abandoned and abused donkeys who have nowhere else to turn. Please call 0800 144 5802, text SAFE4 to 84902, go online or scan the QR code and give just £2 a month and help change a donkey's life today.
This summer, take on the 1 Million Step Challenge for Diabetes UK. Just over 10,000 steps a day, 3 months, one life-changing challenge. Step for a happier, healthier you. Step for your loved ones. Step for everyone affected by diabetes. From the 1st of July, pound the pavement. And every pound you raise will help fund life-changing research and support. Because when you move, we move for everyone living with diabetes. So sign up for the 1 Million Step Challenge. Just search Step for Diabetes and take that life-changing first step today.
The top court is also slamming the state government, and it says the issue must not be politicized. The Allahabad High Court has upheld the survey of the Sambhal Mosque. Rahul Gandhi yet again is repeating the allegations against the External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. He says India lost an aircraft because Pakistan knew. The BJP has hit back, and the BJP is asking whether Rahul Gandhi is with India or with Pakistan. It is a terrible story emanating from Bengaluru, where a woman dies in a wall collapse